Muscles and movement. Introduction to the muscular system. The muscular system is a crucial part of the human body responsible for movement, stability, and essential body function. It consists of over 600 muscles working in coordination with the skeletal and nervous system to enable motion, maintain posture, and regulate internal processes like circulation and digestion. Muscle functions by contracting and relaxing, generating force to move the body or support vital organs. This system is divided into three main types of muscles: skeletal muscles, responsible for voluntary movement; smooth muscle, found in internal organs and controlling involuntary functions; while cardiac muscles, which powers the heart. Skeletal muscle structure and function. The muscle organization and muscle fiber cell structure. So the skeletal muscle is composed uh, of several structures, each contributing to its function. Number one, muscle organization. Skeletal muscles are made up of bundles of fibers enclosing connective tissues. Muscles. The entire muscle is wrapped in a connective tissue sheet called the epimysium. Fascicles. The muscle is divided into small bundles called fascicles, and which are surrounded by perimysium and muscle fibers. Muscle cells. Each fascicle contains muscle fibers enclosed by a membrane called the endomysium. Muscle fiber cell structure. Each muscle fiber cell is highly specialized and contains sarcolemma, the outer membrane of the muscle fiber, which conducts electrical signals. Sarcoplasm, the cytoplasm of the muscle fiber containing organelles and energy stores. Myofibrils, long thread-like structures inside the muscle fiber responsible for contraction, while sarcomeres are the functional units of functional contraction within myofibrils composed of protein filaments, actin, and myosin. Sarcomeres in the sliding filament theory. Muscles contraction occurs within sarcomeres, the basic contractile units of skeletal muscles. The process follows the sliding filament theory, where myosin filaments, thick, pull actin filaments thin towards the center of the sarcomere. This shortens the sarcomere, causing the entire muscle to contract. The contraction is powered by the ATP, which is the adenosine triphosphate, and regulated by calcium ions. So it is powered by ATP and regulated by calcium ions. Functions of the skeletal muscles. Number one, voluntary movement. Number two, posture and stability. Number three, heat production. Number four, joint stability. Number five, protection of internal organs. Voluntary movement. Skeletal muscle enable body movement by contracting and pulling on bones. Movement like walking, running, and lifting are controlled by a signal from the nervous system, specifically motor neurons. Posture and stability. Muscles provide continuous low-level contraction, helping maintain posture and prevent the body from collapsing under gravity. Core muscles, such as those in the back and abdomen, are especially important for maintaining upright posture. Heat production. Skeletal muscle play a crucial role in regulating body temperature, muscle activity, generating heat which helps maintain a stable internal temperature when the body is cold. For example, shivering. So rapid muscle contraction happens and it generates extra heat. Joint stability. It also gives stability to the joints while protection of integrated internal organs. So it certain skeletal muscles such as those in the abdomen region, rectus abdominis, and obliquus act as a protective shield for internal organs, absorbing shock and reducing injury risks. Neuromuscular junction. Structure and function. What is neuromuscular junction? The neuromuscular junction is the specialized synapse where a motor neuron communicates with a skeletal muscle fiber, allowing nerve signals to control muscle contraction. It plays a crucial role in voluntary movement and is a key component of the somatic nervous system. Structure of the neuromuscular junction. The neuromuscular junction consists of three main parts. Number one is presynaptic terminal. The motor neuron extends from the spinal cord on brain and carries electrical signal action potential on the muscle. The neuron terminal branches into multiple ending called synaptic terminal or axon terminal. These terminals contain synaptic vesicle filled with the neurotransmitter acetylcholine (ACH), which is the important hormone. The terminal is separated from the muscle fiber by a small gap called the synaptic cleft. The synaptic cleft, what is synaptic cleft? It is a small gap, 30 to 5 nanometer wide, between the neuron and the muscle fiber, which is filled with extracellular fluid and enzyme, including acetylcholinesterase (ACHE), which breaks down acetylcholine from after signal transmission. Number 3 is postsynaptic membrane. Postsynaptic membrane. The motor end plate is the specialized region of the muscle's fiber sarcolemma membrane that receives signal. It contains nicotine acetylcholine receptors that bind acetylcholine. These receptors are ligand-gated ion channels that opens when ACH binds, allowing sodium ions to enter the muscle cells, triggering an action potential. Muscle activation. The muscle activation refers to the process by which muscle contract and responds to signals from the nervous system. This complex process involves multiple steps involving nerve signaling, calcium release, and ATP-driven filament interaction. Muscle activation enables all voluntary movement to maintain postures and support bodily function like breathing and circulation. The role of nervous system in muscle activation. Number 1 is the neuromuscular junction. The muscle activation begins with the nervous system sending an electrical signal known as the action potential to a muscle. This process involves the neuromuscular junction. The neuromuscular junction is where a motor neuron connects with the muscle fiber to transmit signal. The process occurs in the following steps: action potential generation, and number 2 is release of acetylcholine. So the brain or the spinal cord sends an electrical signal, action potential, through a motor neuron and release of acetylcholine. When the action potential reaches the end of the motor neuron, it triggers the release of a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine into the synaptic cleft, the small gap between the neuron and the muscles. Activation of muscle fibers. ACH binds to receptor on the sarcolemma muscle fiber membrane, opening ion channel that allows sodium ions to rush into the muscle cells, generating a new electrical impulse inside the muscles. Number 2, excitation contraction coupling. Once the action potential reaches the inside of the muscle, it triggers excitation contraction coupling, the process that links electrical signals to muscle contraction. Number A, calcium refers a release from the sarcoplasmic reticulum. The action potential stimulates the sarcoplasmic reticulum in a specialized organelle in muscle called to release the calcium ion into the muscle fiber. Calcium binds to a protein called troponin, which is attached to tropomyosin, a regulatory protein that blocks the binding site on actin filament. The binding of the calcium causes tropomyosin to move, exposing actin binding site for myosin. The sliding filament mechanism. Number 2, the sliding filament mechanism. Once actin binding sites are exposed, the myosin heads thick filament projection attached to actin, forming cross bridges and pulling the filament together. This follows the sliding filament theory, which occurs in cycle. Number 1, cross bridge formation. Number 2, power stroke. Number 3, detachment and resetting. The myosin head binds to an actin filament, forming a cross bridge. ATP adenosine triphosphate is referred to cock the myosin head into position for attachment. Number B, power stroke. The myosin head pivots, pulling the actin filament towards the center of the sarcomere, the basic unit of muscle contraction. This shortens the muscle fiber, generating force. Detachment and resettling. A new ATP molecule binds to the myosin head, causing it to detach from the actin. The ATP is broken down to provide energy, recocking the myosin head for another cycle. Number 4 is muscle relaxation. Muscle relaxation occurs when the nervous system stops sending signal. The process involves acetylcholine breakdown, calcium reabsorption, blocking of actin's binding sites, and sarcomere returns to resting positions. Energy systems and in muscle activity. Muscle activity requires energy to facilitate movement. It sustains contraction and perform physiological function. The body uses three primary energy systems to meet these demands. Number one is ATPPC system. The ATPPC system is the body most immediate source of energy. It provides quick burst of energy for short duration, high intensity activities like sprinting or lifting heavy weights. ATP adenosine triphosphate is the main immediate source um, used by muscle for contraction. However, ATP stores are limited and they deplete quickly. Creatine phosphate. Creatine phosphate is stored in muscle cell and can rapidly regenerate ATP by donating a phosphate group to ADP, adenosine diphosphate, which can form again ATP, adenosine triphosphate. This reaction happens through the enzyme creatine kinase. Now, the second pathway which the cell can make the energy is known as the anaerobic glycolysis system or lactic acid system. When the ATP-based system depletes, the body relies on the anaerobic glycolysis. What is meaning by anaerobic glycolysis? Which break down glucose from carbohydrates to produce ATP. This system is important for activities that last from about 15 seconds to 2 minutes of intense activity. For example, especially when you are doing gym or something, how it works. Glucose, the stored form of the glucose in muscle and liver, is broken down into glycogen is broken down into glucose, through a process known as glucogenolysis. Glucogenolysis means broken breakdown of glycogen into glucose. Glucose is then metabolized by glycolysis, which occurs in the cytoplasm of muscle cells. So, in the absence of oxygen in aerobic respiration, glucose is converted into pyruvate, and when oxygen is insufficient, pyruvate is converted into lactic acid. So that's why it is known as lactic acid fermentation. ATP is produced, but lactic acid builds up in the muscles, contributing to fatigue. So you will feel like fatigue after the activity. Aerobic respiration energy system. The aerobic system is the most sustainable energy system. Most of our energy is produced by the aerobic system for long duration, low to moderate intense activities. It is used for activities lasting several minutes to hours. How it works? So glucose, fats, and proteins can all be used as a fuel in the aerobic system. With glucose and fatty acids belong to the primary source. So in the process begins with the glycolysis, um, but instead of producing lactate, the pyruvate enters the mitochondria where it undergoes further oxidation in Krebs cycle and electron transport chain. So three processes: glycolysis, Krebs cycle, and electron transport chain. In these cycles, oxygen is used to convert um, fuel source into ATP, carbon dioxide, and water. The aerobic system is highly efficient, producing much more ATP than the anaerobic system. Muscle group and movement. The human body relies on the coordinated network of muscles to produce movement and maintain stability. These muscles are grouped based on their location and function. They work together and execute various types of movement. Major muscle groups. Number one is upper body muscle. Number two is core muscle. Number three is lower muscles, body muscle. So the chest, there are some pectorals involving in pushing and pulling movement. Shoulders, deltoids, and upper back. Trapezoids support a range of motions, such as lifting, pulling, and stabilizing the shoulder joint, while arms, biceps, and triceps controlling the bending and straightening of the elbow. The core muscle, abdominals, rectus abdominis, and obliques, it provides the stability to the trunk. And the lower back muscles stabilizes and extend the spine, protecting the back during movement. Lower body muscle like gluteus, it play a crucial role in the hip extension, while the calves assist in movement such as walking, running, and jumping by enabling plantar flexion, raising on tiptoes. Type of movements: flexion and extension, uh, abduction and adduction, rotation, circumduction. So flexion and extension: flexion decreases the angle between bones, for example, bending the elbow, while extension increases the angle, for example, straightening the knee. And abduction moves limb away from the body's midline, and adduction moves it toward the midline. Rotation. Rotation involves turning a part of the body around on axis, for example, twisting the torso. And circumduction, a circular movement that combines flexion, extension, abduction, and adduction. For example, arm circles. Muscle coordination. For smooth muscle control, movement muscles work in coordinated pairs: agonist, antagonist, synergist, and fixators. What are agonists? They contract to create movement, while antagonist relaxes to allow the movement, and synergist assist the agonist in performing the movement so they can increase the activity even more, and fixator stabilizes the joints, ensuring proper movement mechanics. For example, during a biaxial curl, the biceps acts as the agonist by contracting to flew the elbow, while the tricep serves as the antagonist by relaxing. Forearm muscle may act as synergist, and shoulder muscles serve as a fixator to stabilize the joints.